Hi, my name is Morry and I'm the creator of the Quantum Mind Power System. Recently, we asked you what questions or concerns you had with respect to the Quantum Mind Power System with TMM, and I'm here today to help answer some of these questions for you. Might as well begin with the first question, which had to do with health and our emotions. Just over 20 years ago, Time magazine ran a cover story which reported that stress was the #1 epidemic in the 80s. That was before we had to worry about terrorist attacks and rising gas prices. In other words, our lives have become progressively more stressful since then. All the relevant surveys have shown that Americans believe that they are under more stress than just 10 years ago. For example, researchers at the Center for Disease Control and the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health have discovered recently that stress is linked to physical and mental health, as well as a decreased willingness to take on new and creative endeavors. Job burnout, experienced by 25 to 40% of U.S. workers, is now being blamed on stress. More than ever before, employee stress is being recognized as a major drain on corporate productivity and competitiveness. Depression, which is only one type of stress reduction, is predicted to be the leading occupational disease of the 21st century. It will be responsible for more days lost than any other single factor. The workplace today has become more stressful because of the growing psychological demand to increase productivity by working longer hours. The strain to keep up with increasing amounts of information, such as learning new technologies, and job insecurity, not to mention the need for both parents to work in order to keep bills paid and a roof over your head. But this is not just an American phenomenon. Increased stress is experienced worldwide as we all try to cope in the new global village. A list of health problems associated with stress includes the leading causes of death in America, such as heart disease, cancer, auto accidents, cirrhosis of the liver, and suicide. Add to this memory loss, reduced immune response, and obesity, and I think you'll agree that we're talking about some pretty scary stuff. You see, the majority of these health issues are as a result of the increased sympathetic nervous system activity and increased levels of adrenaline, cortisol, and other stress-related hormones in the blood. Stress can also have negative effects on other hormones, brain neurotransmitters, additional small chemical messengers elsewhere, as well as crucial enzyme systems and metabolic activities that are still unknown. New research may help to explain how stress can contribute to depression, anxiety, and its diverse effects on the gastrointestinal tract, skin, and other organs. As a matter of fact, it's been estimated that 75 to 90% of all visits to a primary care doctor are for stress-related problems. And this is precisely where Quantum Mind Power with TMM can step in to help. There have been some concerns from some of you regarding the sense of control, and that many of you might believe that there's a loss of control with respect to using brainwave entrainment and Quantum Mind Power specifically. I think that it's very important to remember here that you're not turning anything over to anybody's control with the Morry Method products. What you are in fact doing is retaking control of your mind back from the terrific stresses that society and others place on it. Another question we've had is asking whether Quantum Mind Power can be used with other entrainment products that might be out on the internet or even light and sound machines, and if overusing it can cause problems for yourself. We do not suggest using Quantum Mind Power with other entrainment products, and this is the reason why. You can never really match up exactly what we are doing with our frequencies as opposed to what others might be trying to do. What we suggest you do is use the products separately, decide which you like the best, and then stick with the one that you like the best. You really don't know what all the different programs are doing, and you don't want to take a chance that you might be doing something to either hinder the results or even cause you some negative results. As far as the overuse question is concerned, the way the brain and body are set up, when you are stimulated with this kind of technology, the neurotransmitters, endorphins, and hormones that might be released are done so on a natural level. What this means is if you actually listen too much, the brain will not produce more of these chemicals than you need. It's not like taking a pill where every pill you take you get another dose. With brainwave entrainment, you will stop getting your natural dose, as it were, once you have enough. So there really is no fear of overdoing it, although we do want to remember that we have a life to live, and it's important not to spend your entire day lying down listening to these pleasant tones. Perhaps one of the most asked questions has to do with a comparison of quantum mind power with TMM and some of the other products that are out there and available for people to use. Well, this is my considered comparison of quantum mind power and some of the other products that are out there. First of all, to deal with binaural products. Our stimulation patterns are much more effective than the binaurals at encouraging what's called the frequency following response. The frequency following response is actually what is responsible for entrainment. Basically, this is what it is. Your brain is set up to follow frequencies that are open and available to you in your environment. What this means is that if you're exposed to a certain pattern of pulses or beats, your neurons will actually attempt to fire at that particular rate as well. This is how we achieve things like hemispheric synchronization and how we accomplish many of the tasks actually in our life by having our brain react in appropriate ways to the stimulus that's around us. Unfortunately, our brains don't always react in the appropriate way, and this can cause stress and concern for most of us in our lives. We use a proprietary methodology and application of technology that serves to deepen the effects of real brainwave entrainment. You might think of us as the next step up from binaural technology, a really big step. Again, we do not use binaural technology. The effectiveness for achieving strong brainwave entrainment is really quite questionable at best when using this kind of technology. Dr. Gerald Oster, who is generally recognized as the man to bring binaurals to popularity, in a 1973 issue of Scientific American said that he examined how combining two pure tones resulted in a rhythmic beat, which he called binaural beats. In comparing binaural beats against monaural beats, Oster noted that the monaural beats were shown to elicit extremely strong cortical responses, which is the electrical activity responsible for entrainment. Oster concluded that while binaural beats produced very little neural response, because the depth of a binaural beat is only 3 decibels, or 1/10 the volume of whisper, they could indeed be useful for diagnosing certain neurological disorders. We currently use monaural and isochronic, even more powerful tones. Our stimulation patterns are far more effective. If you were to take a look at the binaural beat patterns and the monaural and isochronic patterns that you can find on our website, you would find that with the binaural pattern there's a very small difference between the height of the peaks and the depth of the valleys in the actual wave pattern. It is mainly the size of the difference between the peaks and valleys in the waveform that will determine how strong the cortical evoked response will be. The cortical evoked response is basically the brain's reaction to the stimulus. There are also some programs out there, some software actually, that allows you to create your own brainwave entrainment recordings. I originally tried them out to see if I could create my programs with them, and unfortunately found that for basic experimentation and playing around they're okay, but they're not really entrainment for the purposes of the Morry method. There are inherent problems in these programs with tone quality, the shapes of the waveforms, and the spacing of the tones, to name just a few. On a side note, I'm not entirely sure how good an idea it is to give people the opportunity to create their own programs anyway, when they really have no idea what they're doing. Brainwave entrainment can be rather impressive upon the mind and upon the physical body, and I'm not sure how smart it is of an idea to give people who aren't properly trained the ability to create programs that could potentially cause them harm. To create effective brainwave entrainment, there is so much more to it than using certain types of tones. And TMM, which is utilized by quantum mind power, is also far more involved than anything that other recordings or programs are capable of. This is actually one of the reasons why I had to develop it in the first place. Here's an inside look at the Morry method. TMM uses a proprietary protocol developed for presenting various stimuli to the brain and mind. The end result of this method is much softer on the brain-body system and offers a more natural incorporation of the brain beats with their associated benefits, as well as any presented information, for example meditations, hypnosis, affirmations, etc. The main entrainment frequencies are presented in a professionally mastered environment which does not allow for errors. Each time you hear a click or a pop on a recording, it's actually interfering with the entrainment process. You also need at least 6 full minutes at any desired frequency to allow the brain to entrain to it. This is, of course, called the frequency following response. Any unwanted sounds that occur during the presentation of the main tone actually gets in the way of the entrainment process. This holds true for all background noises, or soundscapes, or music, that others may place in the recordings. It's like listening to a person speak. When there is only one person talking, you have no problem understanding, or at least hearing them. As you add people talking to the equation, it becomes harder and harder to understand what the original person is saying. It's the same thing with brainwave entrainment. Too many frequencies equals more signals getting in the way of and disrupting the brainwave entrainment process. The sounds that we use as a background are actually a relative of pink noise. It's a combination of specific frequencies that, when combined, produce a uniform, which is a steady and consistent effect that cancels out much of the distracting noise that is present when running a session. It's also designed to help ease the entrainment process and not work against it. The spoken word aspects of our recordings undergo a unique process that helps to make them a very effective part of our system. They're put through a special analysis in order to confirm their quality. The specially designed algorithm is then applied to the spoken word, with special effects added. There are long pauses in the spoken word aspects of some of these recordings that allow you to reflect, imagine, and internalize a new way of being and thinking. When this is combined with the brainwave entrainment aspect and the spoken word resumes, a startle effect may occur. This is somewhat like someone talking in your ear suddenly when you're half asleep. To counteract this, we have inserted what we call anti-startle tones just before each spoken word aspect resumes so that you're not startled. This is actually a low tone, sometimes called a drone, and it begins very quietly and softly, and it ends at a similar volume level to that of the spoken word itself. The bottom line is, the tones, backgrounds, and spoken word aspects are mixed together to ensure a harmonic balance of sound, science, and technology, a combination that will give you the maximum effects possible. I can't really give away everything as my methodology is proprietary and based on the best research and experience available, but I do hope that this helps. We've had many questions as well as to how quantum mind power can relate to the law of attraction. Well, often what happens is we think about what we don't want, and as a result of thinking about what we don't want, we actually manifest that. Quantum mind power can help in that it actually helps you to stop those little voices in your head that are always thinking of the things you don't want. This allows you to be more positive and alert in your life so that you start to think of things you do want. Once you're giving more attention to the things you do want, you will find yourself naturally attracted to these things. And isn't that, after all, really the law of attraction? Many people have also asked us what the quantum mind power system actually sounds like. The answer for this is very straightforward. All you're basically going to hear is a pulsing sound with a shh type sound in the background. Many people equate it to the sound of a helicopter. The sounds can be a little bit unusual at first, but most users find them quite soothing and pleasant to listen to once they get used to this new form of stimulation. We've also been asked how long to use the quantum mind power system, and this question is certainly a good one. Unfortunately, the answer is not very easy. You see, every person is of course different. Coupled with this is the fact that no two people will actually be starting or want to end at the same place in their psychoneurological development. From this, it then becomes clear that each individual's experience will be by necessity different. That being said, we have noticed that many people simply decide to use it almost every day. As a matter of fact, that's what I do. For others, there tends to be a point somewhere between 3 months to a year where people find that they are pretty much well on their way and they use quantum mind power once or twice a week, essentially to maintain the results. Again, your results will vary, but you will get results. Some people read our forum and they see emails with very impressive testimonials from people who've tried the system just a few times and have had life-changing events. Then there's others who don't seem to get these, what might be called instant results. And the only thing I can tell you is that you really shouldn't be looking for instant results, because the quantum mind power system is actually designed for long-term results over the long haul. Just because you may not get dramatic results that some others are getting does not necessarily mean that you're not getting benefits. It's just like exercise. You wouldn't expect to be in perfect shape after 3 or 4 sessions of exercising. It's just like that with your brain as well. Also, please remember that everybody starts from a different place and needs different things. So what you actually need will directly dictate what you get and how fast you get it. This system is designed for real change, not for entertainment. So sometimes, and with some people, the actual changes might take a little while, but they will always be worth the wait. We get asked quite often, as far as recordings are concerned, will people get used to them and will the effects wear down? Well, your brain will actually never get used to these recordings. They react to them as the result of the frequency following response, and this is the tendency of the brain to tune into and match the external stimulus's frequency. The frequency following response doesn't go away with use or time, and it's not affected by how many times it's activated. It's always there for you. As your brain continues to increase its exposure to brainwave entrainment, the brain is pushed to create new neural pathways. This changes the patterns of perception and information transfer in your brain, thereby creating new ways of experiencing yourself and your world. There are some others who say you must go through many different levels of CDs and take years to do it. It's my belief that one of three things might be happening here. First of all, some well-meaning people might have researched on the net brainwave entrainment and basically taken as truth what others who may not be qualified are saying. Two, if these products are binaural in nature, then the effects are so minimal anyway that perhaps it's necessary to go through many different programs to get any real results. And again, as far as actually needing to go through levels, please remember that you as you live your life already experience all of these levels of consciousness and unconsciousness. We all experience alpha levels. We all experience theta states. We all experience delta and beta states. We do not need levels or special training or 15 years to experience these things. They're all there naturally. What we're trying to do is to produce them in a strong enough state that you get real and lasting benefits from them. Does quantum mind power enable change? This is a big question, and quite a few of you have asked it, and I'll try to answer it for you now. Quantum mind power will actually help you to literally think and react differently. For some people, the results will show themselves faster than others, but normally, if you follow the protocol for at least a month, you will notice something happening. Other people around you may notice things happening. Everybody is unique, and some need more reorganizing than others before they begin to manifest the beginnings of their what we call higher level. When we entrain the brain, we are actually forcing the brain to reorganize to a higher level. You form new neural pathways, and as this happens, the way you think and react to things undergoes a unique transformation as well. When this is combined with intention, remarkable effects can take place. It's important to remember that what you want to experience has a great deal to do with what you can actually experience with brainwave entrainment. If someone has the intention to change in a certain way, then while listening to these recordings with their chosen intention, they can find themselves changing in a way that progressively takes them away from their undesired behavior. That being said, much of the change happens automatically and might not even get noticed so much by you until others point it out. You, deep down inside, actually know what you need to do, even if you do not consciously know it right now. And these recordings will literally form the key that you will use to unlock this information and help you with the energy and the motivation to act on it. Don't put pressure on yourself. Have the intentions and let the recordings do what they need to do in order for you to gain access. I realize that it's hard to imagine that listening to some recordings can have such a profound effect, considering everything we've been taught says that the solutions are always tough, painful, intensely complicated, and so on. This flies in the face of all of that. What we are taught is not right. If it was right, then we would be far more successful at life, and we would not be having this conversation. When we realize that we need to look within instead of without for our answers, all kinds of things are possible. This system is designed to take advantage of you because on some level you already know best, even if you don't know it yet. We've actually had quite a few questions as well with respect to the frequency breakdown in the quantum mind power system, and I thought I'd share that with you now. Neural synergy, which is one of our main recordings, takes place primarily in theta. It ramps down for about 5 minutes from beta to help ease you into the particular state. This recording is specifically designed to help you to reorganize your brain to a higher level, allowing you to process more complicated tasks easier than before. Eden energy wave dynamics is actually a dual brainwave recording in that it stimulates both hemispheres of the brain differently. Half is ranging in the alpha range, and the other half ranges in beta. This recording is specifically designed to help with the inevitable loss of action that tends to follow any self-help improvement type of program. It's a dual brainwave recording, which means it's a different and distinct brainwave pattern targeting each hemisphere of the brain separately, which is designed to pump up your energy levels, while at the same time quiet the voices that tend to make us stagnate and stop moving forward by thinking too much or by being afraid. Both of our meditation and hypnosis recordings ramp from the beta to alpha frequencies, very subtly in the background, and are basically there to help facilitate the internalization of the spoken word aspects. The subliminal recordings do not have any brainwave entrainment frequencies embedded in them at all. Here are some listening instructions that are designed for optimal results. You may of course listen less than suggested, but your benefits will likely take longer to manifest. Neural synergy should be listened to every day, but for a change of pace, it's fine to use Eden energy wave dynamics if you wish in its place. You may also alternate days between these two recordings. Eden energy wave dynamics should be listened to help keep energy levels and attitude up. If you're low energy and motivation, use it to make you feel more positive and energized. Also, you should listen to the hypnosis and meditation recordings on alternate days while also listening to the brainwave-only recordings daily. Please remember that with the subliminal tracks, they must be listened to over speakers. Do not use headphones. You see, the subliminal tracks are encoded at a very high frequency, and we don't want to risk hurting your hearing. You may listen to the whole brain gratitude meditation and the emotive brainwave hypnosis immediately after listening to neural synergy only. All of the other recordings require an hour pause between listening. If you would like to listen to both neural synergy and Eden energy wave dynamics on the same day, again you should leave at least a 1 hour pause between listenings. If you would like to listen more or differently than is suggested in our user's manual, then please contact me at Morry, M-O-R-R-Y, at quantum-mind-power.com with how you would like to use it, and I would be very pleased to get back to you with my thoughts. Sometimes people ask us if you actually need to think of anything or if you can just let yourself go. Well, the quantum mind power system with TMM has actually specifically been designed so that everything happens completely automatically. What that means is that you don't have to think of a thing. All you need to do is put on the headphones or your speakers and listen. Of course, if you wanted to guide yourself into specific areas of development, then you can use things like affirmations and prayer, whatever works for you. But again, please understand that the quantum mind power with TMM has been specifically designed so that everything happens automatically. There's absolutely nothing else that you need to do except listen. Some people have also asked us some questions regarding our 2 stimulation choices and 6 bass tones of our main programs in the system, which are available in the digital version. Let me assure you that anyone who purchases the CD version of the system will also receive a link so that they can download their preferences for both of the first 2 recordings, Neural Synergy and Eden Energy Wave Dynamics. It is important that you get the tones that are good for you. In this system, we have included the most popular tones of these 2 programs. We want you to have the ability to choose others just in case you have other preferences. That leads us into what are the main differences between our digital and CD version. Well, the 2 systems are essentially the same. What we have done is we have selected and fine-tuned the specific tracks that work best for most of the people based on our customer feedback. We've also hired the top CD company in the business to work with us so that you can get the best quality CDs possible. Finally, the CDs come with professionally designed graphics and beautiful packaging. Believe it or not, statistics show that a beautiful and inspirational package will give people more gumption to actually listen and thus get the most benefit from our system. Some people have some concerns about repressed issues with quantum mind power. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask you if anything traumatic has ever happened in your life that possibly you really haven't dealt with or resolved. For example, an injury, death of a loved one, something along those lines. One way to tell if we have unresolved issues is that if we react with things like impatience, moodiness, a desire to always change the subject, or sadness when someone or something brings up things like the loss of a close relative, pet, etc. If this is the case, then you should know that this kind of technology is known to bring up repressed issues and emotions. Often when these repressed issues arise, they can feel a little bit uncomfortable, but please remember, much like a cyst or a boil under your skin, it's always better to get these things out. And in a case as this, it would be a good idea to have somebody that you can talk with to help you resolve and get through these issues. It's also possible that the recordings can work too well and that you may be overwhelmed by the effects. Brainwave entrainment is known to increase cerebral blood flow and neural activity. As such, sometimes people simply mistake these sensations as something unusual or bad, when in reality they are simply different and it might take a little while to get used to. In this world that we live in, we're pretty much trained to think the worst at all times. So keep that in mind. In cases like this, you can always try listening without headphones and at a lower volume. Some people would like to know if language is a barrier to using and the effectiveness of quantum mind power. Well, the two main aspects of the system, neural synergy and Eden energy wave dynamics, as well as our special bonuses, if you're lucky enough to get them, actually have no language to them at all. These are the recordings that are actually responsible for the primary effects of our system. The rest are supplemental and supportive in nature. If anyone who English is not their first language were to decide to purchase, we could always send you the scripts for the spoken word aspects so you could translate them and then use them effectively for yourself. Some of our users have asked if hearing impairment is a problem when using brainwave entrainment. Well, brainwave entrainment works on the principle of vibration. There is also the fact that there is likely to be a sympathetic reaction between the hemispheres of your brain. This means that as long as there is connected tissue in the path from your ears to the brain, then the vibration from the sound alone, which would travel that path, should allow the brainwave entrainment to occur even if you cannot hear it. At this point, I think the best thing would be to try our product out and see for yourself if there will be any positive benefits for you. We've had quite a few requests asking us, can you tell me if brainwave entrainment can help with studying and learning? Well, actually it can, and it can help a great deal. Theta is the state where most children exist, and this is one reason why they learn easier than adults. It's also where LTP, also known as long-term potentiation, mostly occurs. This is important as it is needed for memory formation and thus learning. Listen to neural synergy while studying. It's fine to listen with or without headphones if you like. The brainwave pattern associated with this program has been shown to increase levels of LTP. This is necessary for the actual formation of memories. Scientists have discovered that for memories to form, the brain must undergo a process called long-term potentiation. This involves electrical and chemical changes in the neurons associated with memory. Without LTP, incoming information is not stored and is rather quickly and totally forgotten. A neuropsychologist by the name of Dr. Gary Lynch and his associates at the University of California at Irvine discovered that the key to LTP is the theta brainwave pattern. They found that the magic rhythm that makes LTP is actually theta. According to Lynch, this is the natural rhythm of the hippocampus, the part of the brain that is essential for the formation and storage of new memories and the recall of old memories. We've had a number of questions as well as to brainwave entrainment and its effects on migraines and epilepsy. I think that it's always a good idea to consult with medical professionals whenever you wish to try something new and you have a current or related condition. With respect to migraines, in 1989, D.J. Alderson of Queen Elizabeth Military Hospital performed work on the treatment of migraine headaches. All 7 subjects in his experiment experienced one or more migraine-related symptoms. No subject had satisfactory results using drugs. The subjects were instructed to use brainwave entrainment at the onset of a migraine. Of the 50 migraines recorded, 49 were rated by the subjects as being helped, and 36 of the 49 were rated as being stopped. Pre-treatment migraines lasted an average of 6 hours, while post-treatment migraines lasted an average of 35 minutes. With respect to epilepsy, in the 1960s, biomedical pioneer Barry Sternman, now Professor Emeritus of Neurobiology and Psychiatry at UCLA, used brainwave biofeedback to successfully treat epilepsy. Dr. Sternman, followed by Dr. Joel Lubar, began to train the brains of those with drug-resistant or hard-to-control with medicine epilepsy to produce increased 12 to 14 cycles per second brainwave activity, while reducing certain slow-wave frequencies. Several other studies show major reductions in the frequency and severity of seizures, even if anticonvulsant drugs have not been particularly effective. Other questions with respect to brainwave entrainment and weight gain and stress have also been asked quite a lot. Quantum Mind Power can help with reducing cortisol in your system. Cortisol not only causes weight gain, but it also does a number on your immune system. It is therefore possible that by reducing your cortisol levels, your immune system is stronger, and then it would follow that things that your immune system could not handle before might now be handled a bit easier. Many have been noticing that by simply listening regularly after 2 or 3 months normally, that they are losing weight. Cortisol is an important hormone in the body. It is secreted by the adrenal glands and is involved in the following functions: proper glucose metabolism, regulation of blood pressure, insulin release for blood sugar maintenance, immune function, and inflammatory response. Normally, it's present in the body at higher levels in the morning, and it's at its lowest at night. Although stress isn't the only reason that cortisol is secreted into the bloodstream, it has been termed the stress hormone because it's also secreted in higher levels during the body's fight or flight response to stress, and it is responsible for several stress-related changes in the body. Small increases of cortisol have had some positive effects, like a quick burst of energy for survival reasons, heightened memory functions, a burst of increased immunity, lower sensitivity to pain, and it can also help to maintain homeostasis, or balance, in the body. While cortisol is an important and helpful part of the body's response to stress, it is important that the body's relaxation response is activated so that its functions can always return to normal. Unfortunately, in our current high-stress culture, the body's stress response is activated so often that functioning often doesn't have a chance to return to normal, and this produces chronic stress. Higher and more prolonged levels of cortisol in the bloodstream, like those associated with chronic stress, have been shown to have negative effects that include impaired cognitive performance, suppressed thyroid function, blood sugar imbalances such as hyperglycemia, decreased bone density, decrease in muscle tissue, and higher blood pressure. Lowered immunity and inflammatory responses in the body, as well as other health consequences like increased abdominal fat, are associated with a greater amount of health problems than fat deposited in other areas of the body. Some of the health problems associated with increased stomach fat are heart attacks, strokes, the development of higher levels of bad cholesterol, and lower levels of good cholesterol. These can all lead to other health problems. To keep cortisol levels healthy and under control, the body's relaxation response should be activated after the fight or flight response occurs. You can learn to relax your body with brainwave entrainment, specifically Quantum Mind Power with TMM. Can quantum mind power recordings be used with children? Eden energy wave dynamics as well as digital coffee could prove helpful for hyperactivity type behavior. While studying, it would be better to have neural synergy playing over speakers just loud enough to hear. How old should a child be before using brainwave entrainment? The general rule of thumb is about 8 years old. I personally have never used it with anyone younger, so I cannot suggest it, but if you monitor your child closely for their reactions, it should be fine as low as 6. We're currently working on a recording specifically designed to work with ADD, ADHD children and adults, and we hope to release this in the next 6 months. 2 of the recordings in our system are actually audio subliminals, and many people question as to their efficacy. Do they work or not? Well, the research regarding subliminal audios is confusing to say the least. Depending on where you look, you can find research that says they do work, or that they don't work, or even that they can work, but only if produced in a very specific manner. I believe that they have a beneficial effect in either case, as while people listen to them, they are consciously aware that there are beneficial affirmations being presented to them. These affirmations are geared towards a specific result, and what this accomplishes, at the very least, is an increased awareness and attention towards these goals, which I believe will help to create and form an intention that I'm sure you will agree can be very beneficial. We all know that what we think is important, and in this way, people will be reminded to think of the right things. Here is a list of the affirmations that we use in our subliminal bonus recordings. Wealth and prosperity support. Money flows to me effortlessly. I instantly attract everything I desire. I am rich and I am generous. I am grateful for everything that I have in my life. I am comfortable with money. I spend it with integrity, and I have fun with it. I am creating more and more of what I want effortlessly. I am attracting like-minded people who help me fulfill my desires. I draw to myself the highest and best people. Here are the affirmations in our subliminal health support recording. Every day, in every way, I grow stronger. I am perfectly healthy in body, mind, and spirit. I am well, I am whole, and I am strong and healthy. I am healthy, full of energy and vitality. I am healthy, happy, and radiant. My sleep is relaxed and refreshing. My body is healed, restored, and filled with energy. I am always full of energy. Sometimes we get asked, what happens if you're listening to a recording and you get interrupted? Well, I usually like to rerun a session from the beginning if I've been interrupted. But what really matters, though, is how far you've been taken away from the quote-unquote feeling or state that you were in. If you manage to stay in the zone, then simply continue where you left off. If not, it's probably a good idea to start over. We've also had quite a few people ask us the difference between our isochronic and monaural tones. Well, it's basically the size of the difference between the peaks and valleys in the waveform that determines how strong the cortical evoked response is. This is essentially the brain's reaction to the stimulus and is responsible ultimately for the level of brainwave entrainment. On paper, isochronics are the strongest, and monaural present themselves as the smoothest. Isochronics are square-shaped pulses. The pulses are actually completely separated with spaces between them. Monaural tones ramp up and down from each other, joining at the bottom. This gives it a smoother transition feel. The two patterns have a different feel for different people, and research shows that entrainment is likely to be much better if you actually like the sounds as much as possible. This means that if you like the monaural sound better than the isochronic, then it will be likely that the monaural will produce a better entrainment experience for you, even though, on paper, isochronics are stronger. So in the end, all that really matters is which recordings sound best to you, as they are the ones that will be more likely to have the most beneficial effects for you. Many of us have pets, and as a result, some of the questions we've received are with respect to how these frequencies can affect animals. I'm actually unaware of any research on the topic of brainwave entrainment's effects on animals. However, I would expect that if they have ears and a brain, entrainment in animals may occur. What I suggest is to watch your pet's reaction while listening to the tones over speakers. If they look fine, then they are. If they don't, then it's better not to play it when they're in the room or to use headphones. I have recently come across some data which suggests that animals like cats and dogs, among others, can actually have better sleep if they listen to brainwave entrainment for some time during the day. The trick here is to stay with a single brainwave pattern. That means that Spot or Boots probably won't like Eden energy wave dynamics. Neural synergy or the Schumann resonance might be a nice try at a low volume. One more thing. Don't make your pets wear headphones, okay? The last question that we'll deal with in this particular reading is the general question of how does quantum mind power work. For each of the first two modules, there are actually 12 recordings. Included in these choices, there are 6 using a monaural stimulation pattern, and another 6 that use an isochronic stimulation pattern for each module. The 6 choices within each stimulation pattern are of different pitches. The 2 patterns have a different feel for different people, as do the different pitches. You simply choose the recording from each module that you like best. Our research shows that entrainment is likely to be much better if you actually like the sound as much as possible. Here's a breakdown of what you get with quantum mind power. The quantum mind power with TMM system uses a 6 recording set to train the brain. From brainwave entrainment frequencies only, 2 recordings, one in the theta range and the other being of a dual brainwave stimulation pattern that includes alpha and beta frequencies. These are presented separately and at the same time to each hemisphere of the brain. Also, from subtle brainwave entrainment combined with spoken word. These are in 2 recordings. One is a gratitude meditation, which is designed to instill a feeling of gratitude, which many believe is the key to living a full and happy life. The second one is an emotive hypnosis, which is designed to help with the processing of emotions, both incoming and outgoing. These help to give your fertile new mind the seeds to grow a more positive and beneficial way of thinking. And finally, from 2 subliminal recordings. One is designed to instill feelings and beliefs conducive to prosperity and wealth. The other, for health and wellness. Both of the meditation and hypnosis recordings ramp from beta to alpha, subtly and in the background, and are there to facilitate the internalization of the spoken word aspects. The subliminals don't actually have any brainwave entrainment frequencies in them. As people use the system regularly, they will find that they will be able to recreate these states on their own, without any forced practice. Everybody is different, so it really depends on how well you stick with the protocols that are in the user's manual and for how long. I hope that by having this question and answer period on the Quantum Mind Power with TMM system, that you now have a better idea of how our system can help you with your life and your experience and your joy. My name is Morry Zelkovich, and I'm here for you.